If you're keeping fish, you need more than one tank. Let's talk about why. So you look at your wonderful fish tank and you notice something. Something is missing. Maybe it's that last piece to the puzzle. It's that schooling fish you've always wanted. It's that centerpiece fish that you can't wait to get. So you take a trip to the fish store. You go and you pick out your fish. You're really excited. Your tank is going to be complete. You rush home. You float the bags. You're careful not to put any of that nasty fish store water in your tank. The fish go in. Everything's great. And you're looking at this tank and you can't believe how wonderful it is, how complete your fish keeping hobby is now that you've got that final piece to the puzzle. So you've added the fish and everybody is doing great. They're swimming around, they're happy, they're healthy, full of color, full of life, eating great, getting along. It is the perfect tank. And then you notice something. After a couple days, some of the fish that were in that tank originally, they're not
acting quite right. They're not eating as much.
You've lost a couple of those fish that you added, but it wasn't enough to be a major concern because after all, you bought a bunch of new fish. But the problem is getting worse. And you notice you have a dreaded disease in your tank. Yes, your fish are sick. So you run over to Facebook and you log into all the Facebook fish groups and you ask them, what is wrong with my fish? And instead of getting answers, you get lots of questions. What are your water parameters? Why are you keeping the fish like this? Why are you keeping those fish together? Why are you using colored gravel? Why aren't you using real plants instead of fake plants? What kind of water changes are you doing? What's your ammonia? What's your nitrites? And you realize by going onto those groups, you now have to give your life story and the life story of your entire fish tank, maybe a blood sample, maybe your social security number, just to get a simple answer, what's wrong with my fish? And at the end of it all, you still don't know. And so you rush out to the store and you buy a bunch of meds because somebody told you on the internet, buy this medication and this medication, here's what you've got. And you dump all these meds into your tank and it isn't helping. These meds aren't doing what you thought they were going to do and you start losing more fish. So what happened? You made that fatal mistake. You made the mistake of only keeping one fish tank. It's a mistake that is made by so many new fish keepers, but experienced fish keepers learn this lesson early on, and perhaps you've made that same mistake as well. You didn't have a quarantine tank. Yes, if you are a fish keeper, you absolutely need more than one tank. Now, I know this can be a hard piece of advice for someone who's just getting into the fish keeping world and you buy that brand new starter fish tank kit, that 20-gallon that you've always wanted, and then immediately somebody tells you that's not going to be enough, you're going to need another tank. And the reality is, the minute you put fish in your new tank, it can serve as a quarantine. But once those fish are established in your main tank, anytime you add new fish, you have to have a quarantine tank. Now, we've done a video on how to quarantine fish, a very extensive video. It's an older video, but I'm going to put it in the upper right-hand corner as well as in the description below. I can't stress it enough. Watch that video. It's going to give you a lot more information. But you need that second tank, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Go out, go to Petco at the $1 per gallon sale, find a 10-gallon used, or go to the store, buy one. Get a little cheap hang-on back filter or a sponge filter with a light and a heater, and that's really all you need. And then all you have to do is make sure you have cycled filter media. Maybe it's a sponge filter that you keep in your normal display tank and you take it out and put it in your quarantine tank when you get new fish. Or you've got a little hang-on back filter on that 10-gallon and you just take some of the filter media out of your normal tank, your display tank, put that in the filter media basket of your quarantine tank, and you're ready to go. You put your new fish in that tank and you leave them there for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 weeks. And I know for a new fish keeper, that sounds absolutely crazy. You mean to tell me I'm going to buy brand new fish that I want to see swimming around in my new display tank, and you're telling me to keep them in this little 10-gallon tank off to the side for 4 weeks and not enjoy them? If you value your fish and you value the fish you already have, yes, that is exactly what I am telling you. Take your fish, bring them home, put them in your quarantine tank, and leave them there for 4 weeks and make sure they are disease-free. And when they are, You can take them out of the quarantine tank and put them in your display tank, and you will not run the risk of having nearly as many problems. It takes a little bit of patience, but it pays off in the long run. A lot of people ask, okay, I've got this quarantine tank. What else do I need? What else do I do? Make sure whatever equipment is going in that quarantine tank is specifically for that tank alone. So nets, if you're using a gravel vac or some type of a water siphon, those things should be for that tank, because if you're going to use the equipment in your quarantine tank and then turn around and use it in the display tank, you could very well get cross-contamination, and that really doesn't solve our problem. When you're done quarantining the fish, you can do one of two things. You can leave a few fish in the quarantine tank to keep it cycled, or you can break it down, and in a few months when you buy new fish, you can set it up again. If you're using a hang-on-back filter, that process is easy because all you have to do is take out more media from the display tank in a few months when you buy the new set of fish and get your tank up and running again. So the moral of the story is get that quarantine tank. I know it's not necessarily the most fun thing in the world, but it's going to save you so many problems later on. Once again, if you want a much more extensive video on how to quarantine fish, I'll put that in this video in the upper right-hand corner. I will also link it in the description below. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.